This is Morten from INKISH again, and this time it's my afternoon and it's Mike's morning from somewhere in the US. Where in US are you actually located right now, Mike?
I'm at the New Jersey coastline, so East Coast.
Oh, that sounds great. And welcome to INKISH.
Thank you very much, Morten. It's good to be here.
Hybrid seems to be in a good position in the market right now, and I think that even as you said that 22 was a difficult year for many, it seems that you have a good strategy, some good development, some good products, some nice customers. So tell me a little bit about all the things that Hybrid does.
I will. Thank you. So first off, Hybrid Software Group, we built through acquisition. Originally, it was called Global Graphics PLC. That included initially two companies, Global Graphics in the UK, also Meteor Inkjet in Cambridge, UK. The next acquisition was Zytron, an American company based in Michigan. And then finally we made our biggest acquisition, which really changed the character of the group by merging with Hybrid Software. So Hybrid Software is headquartered in Ghent, Belgium. And we've actually adopted that name, Hybrid Software Group, as our group name. We've made three more acquisitions after that. The next was ColorLogic.
Busy, guys.
Yeah, we've been busy. ColorLogic GmbH, so the German color management company that specializes in fast and accurate color management, which was especially important for us for the need to match brand critical spot colors in labels and packaging with CMYK and with extended color gamut digital printing devices. Our next acquisition was IC3D. So this is 3D rendering and photorealistic ray tracing of labels and packaging to be able to produce an accurate image without having to print and photograph a product. And then finally, we just completed the acquisition of the assets of a company called Quadraxis. So they're a French company fairly well known in the 3D space for thermoforming and for metal shaping and for calculating the distortion of graphics on 3D shapes. So those are the companies that make up Hybrid Software Group.
Fantastic walkthrough, and I can't help think about. I imagine and I foresee a lot of synergies among these 6-7 companies you mentioned, but each of them are like fantastic companies by themselves, right?
Thank you. They are, and I'm smiling because you're hitting on one of my key themes, which is the synergies among our customer base will power a lot of growth for the company. You know, if you look at who we sell to on an individual basis, it really is a blue chip list of who's who in the inkjet manufacturing space and in labels and packaging. But together we have much more to offer. So one of the main things we plan to show at Hunkeler Innovationdays is our Smart DFE, which is a product that was put together with technology from all of the group companies. So the printhead drive electronics from Meteor that actually sit in the digital press. Backing upstream from that, we've got two choices of digital front end, our Smart DFE from Global Graphics or Navigator DFE from Zytron. And they each have strengths and weaknesses in terms of the markets they serve, but they're all built on the Harlequin Direct technology, our fast rip driving data directly to the inkjet printheads. Backing up from that, we've got color management, ColorLogic, as I just explained. And then finally, sitting in front of all of that is the hybrid software technology. So that starts with the editing, packs or steps to take a package design, step and repeat it, put finishing marks on, map the colors to the inks that are going to be used in the digital press, and make that ready for output. Then our automated workflow component, which includes Cloudflow as an automated workflow software to power the jobs directly through the digital front end and onto paper.
I think it's clear that the synergies you describe has a lot of advantages. I have a few things, not because I want to be critical, but that's just I'm curious. First of all, I was just thinking, because when you mentioned the acquisitions, I take that, each of the companies getting to the level where they are has taken some kind of time to get there. So they have maybe also got to a position where they have defined their old cultures and all those things. And at the same time, they're located in different countries. How easy/difficult is it actually to utilize all those potential synergies with all these different cultures?
That's very, very good question, actually. And I should state that I've been working for the chairman of our company, Guido van der Schoen, for 25 years. And I first was exposed to him when he bought a company that I was working for in the US, a company called PCC that made packaging software. And what I learned is
So
that
you know how it is to be acquired,
I
basically,
know
right?
how it is to be acquired, and I know what makes a good and a bad acquisition. If you try to force fit the culture of an acquired company into the acquirer, you almost always kill the company. The culture doesn't survive and the good people leave. And so it's important to preserve the culture and the identity. But the difficulty is you then have to present to the market one unified front. So one company made up of individual companies with individual cultures. And by the way, we've done very little operational synergy work in the companies that we've acquired. Yes, we've unified the order processing, the back, the accounting and bookkeeping function. But we keep the sales forces independent. They have their own skill sets and their own areas of expertise. And in many cases, it's a regional approach. They have to know their dealers, their local customers, and how those customers operate. So really, we have the best of both worlds. We've got local companies that can support our customers locally, but one unified, strong group with almost 300 employees to deliver solutions.
Fantastic. And the second question I had in the same kind of curiosity round, I would say, is when you look at your products, and I also talked to numerous times to your fantastic colleagues, and I was just thinking that you have also, like, one thing is that you have the geographies that are spread out, you have the cultures, as you just mentioned, but then at the same time, you also have both, let's say, products that are aimed for at the PSP side, and you also have like on the industrial side, like on OEM side.
Yes.
I take that it gives you a lot of advantages because you have like a close relationship to how an inkjet device works and how it needs to be fed by the software and the controllers and all that thing. But it must also be a little bit like a challenge to make sure that you have the right, let's say, relationship on all these different levels. Do you understand what I'm trying to ask you?
Oh, I understand exactly. And you know us very well, Morten. So that's a key aspect to the growth of our business, is that we support both OEMs, which are companies who make digital printing devices, and end users, which typically are printing companies that buy digital printing devices and use them to manufacture products. So the more commonality there is between the two sides of our business, the faster we grow our market share. It's kind of the theory of a rising tide lifts all boats. So a growth in the OEM business makes us more attractive to end users, and having more end users makes us more attractive to OEMs. So that's something that really we with the acquisition of Hybrid Software in 2021, we opened our end user sales channel and very quickly doubled our revenue and really accelerated our growth.
Does that also mean that you could could you think of a scenario where if you are using, let's say, Hybrid Software Group hardware combined with Hybrid Group's software, that you can have, even though each could be used by different heads or by different software, that by utilizing your entire portfolio, that it will give the users even a further advantage? Or is that more like two separated things?
Oh, no. It's very much our strategy, exactly as you describe it. And for the OEM, what that buys them is time to market. If they can focus on the transport and the inks and the print heads and building the digital printing press and leave the software to us, that gets them a viable product to market much faster. For the end users, it's more about productivity and how much they can print with that digital press that they just bought. A very good example of that would be in the digital corrugated space, where we've got a strong partnership with HP PageWide, but also with other corrugated manufacturers. And the companies that print corrugated in the past have got their flexo plates through trade shops. So they've not done their pre-press in-house as a rule. They buy their printing plates for flexo from service companies. Then they buy a digital press, and suddenly they're challenged with all of the pre-press functions that they had outsourced in the past. So we sell end-user software to them to help them get jobs on press more quickly and to make more money with their new digital presses.
Fantastic. Can't help think about, of course, it was in, you said 21 was when you acquired Hybrid Software?
Yes, the beginning of 2021.
Yeah. Because I was just wondering, because I mean, we met each other at Label Expo just when the group was actually organized under one name.
Yes.
And then we have seen each other at numerous trade shows, both in Japan and in the US and Europe. And I was just wondering, because maybe it was maybe a little bit premature, but when I was visiting these exhibitions, it was mainly some of the backbone kind of things you were presenting on your booth. I can't remember. I've seen a hybrid software booth. Is that just me that haven't looked good enough, or?
No. You have a very.
Or have you been focusing more on the industrial side of the OEM side when you, for example, go to Label Expo and things like that, or?
So we've always had a big presence at Label Expo with hybrid software. So that's the end user packaging software division of Hybrid Software Group. But you're absolutely right that in the past we've typically sold software components, software or electronics components to OEMs that make digital printing devices. The problem with that is those components take a lot of time and effort to put together. So the change we have in our business now is we put them together ourselves. That's where Smart DFE came from. That's where Navigator DFE came from. We've integrated the electronics interface and the print engine data path and the color management and workflow and editing into a turnkey product. So you'll see us selling products now rather than just technology solutions. We still can sell individual components for companies who need them, but we see a lot more business growth and a lot more value added for hybrid software if we sell products.
And talking about value, I think that I mean, with the history, you as all these 7 entities, or 6, is it 6 or 7 entities that you are together now?
6 plus Quadraxis. Quadraxis, we bought the assets, not the company. Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, 6, 7 types of assets. I mean, the time and the maturing of these products have been in a period that is, or used to be, very different from right now. Because I think that if you look at the environment for Inkjet and for workflow automation, and for all the things that you see as part of the digital transformation right now, it seems like you are pretty much in the hotspot right now, right?
Yeah, although it's funny because you work very hard to become an overnight success sometimes. Global Graphics has been around for more than 30 years, Zytron for more than 35, Meteor independently for about 17 or 18. And even Hybrid Software is approaching 15 years of operation. But it's only when we put them together into Hybrid Software Group that we really accelerate our growth and our offering to the market.
But my point, Mike, is that I agree with you, but my point was more like, if you look at the digitalization of, for example, labels, for example, right? Mm-hmm. It has been going on for a long time now, but it still seems that digital and Inkjet is now really in all the spaces, from packaging to commercial to textile to everything, seems to be like a time of period where it is like the growth does not only come because you have combined the group, but also because the demand from the customers have now really got into them that, okay, digital mindset and digital production tools are becoming more and more a necessity for being relevant in the next, let's say, iteration of your business, right?
You're absolutely right. It's kind of a perfect storm of events driving customers to digital. In fact, the COVID pandemic drove a lot of packaging business to digital printing, because it required fewer operators, fewer human touch points to produce packaging digitally. It's also a maturity of the technology. The print heads are getting faster, and the substrates that they can print on are better as well. And also, don't forget, there is an aspect that we haven't talked about yet, which is 3D printing or additive manufacturing, where we play a big role. And you see that not just in prototyping now, but in volume manufacturing of critical components as well.
Yeah. I think that maybe the reason why I have not asked you so much specifically into that space is that, it's just a few weeks ago, I can't remember who I spoke to, but it was like, okay, when you talk about the printing industry, if you only look at the commercial thing, it is a declining business. But if you look at segments in the commercial business, like books of one and digital, the digital transformation in let's say production of one, and if you look at labels, if you look at packaging, it's growth segments. And then we had a discussion whether 3D and printed electronics and these kind of things are, in the same sphere as in the printing industry, right? Because now in a moment we're going to talk about Hunkeler Innovationdays, for example, and that is not, I wouldn't say it wouldn't necessarily be a place where you would typically see 3D printed devices, unless you think about the embellishment machines, because they are, of course, like 3D printers in some sort, right? Is that what you talk about, or you talk about like the Like I was visiting a 3D printing company in Dubai some years ago that was printing spare parts for F-16 fighters. Or
Sure, sure.
so I was just wondering, when you talk about 3D, is it the additive manufacturing of everything, or do you also talk about it in relation to the print industry?
Both, in fact. We have 3D customers that are printing motorcycle batteries, that are printing meat or meat substitutes, believe it or not, using inkjet
Is
technology.
that like the because we made a film from Redefined Meat in Tel Aviv? Is that the kind of thing, or is it or other people
Exactly.
working on the same kind of
Companies
technology?
just like that are customers of our meteor business. But we also see 3D to include direct to shape printing, where instead of printing on a label, you're printing directly to a tube or to a can. So we have many
So
companies
you
in that.
have so you have so you can print on even surfaces, basically, right?
Exactly right. Exactly right. That's still, let's say, a very small percentage of production because of cost and other reasons, but it's growing. I also want to point out when you talk about the adoption of digital, if you look at the ceramics industry, over a 10-year period, 90% of ceramics production went from screen printing to digital for a lot of reasons. People are printing bigger ceramics, and there's less chance of breakage in inkjet because it's non-contact printing. So sometimes you do hit a tipping point where an entire industry migrates very quickly to new technology. And that could happen in labels or in corrugated or in any of the other segments too.
Printed electronics, maybe even, right?
And electronics as well, for sure.
It's funny that you mentioned ceramics because we have actually made quite a few films with competitive technology. I won't mention the name for for good sake, but a very interesting market, as you said. 90% is today printed ceramics, and when I told my wife about it, she said, "No way,"
Oh, yeah.
because basically, when you go to a tile store and see all the tiles, you're so convinced that it is real ceramics that you see, right?
Well, but in a way it is because what you're inkjetting is a glass frit, a very fine colored glass powder that gets fired onto the surface of the ceramic. So it's just as durable as a screen printed ceramic in the end.
I apologize for putting myself wrongly in an interview with a specialist. I should have known better. Sorry.
Oh, no, no, not at all. Not at all.
So, Mike, Innovation Days. Of course, it makes sense to see you there.
We're
Have you a
delighted to be there.
specific focus on one? Sorry.
I said we're delighted to be there.
Yeah, great. No, I was just wondering, do you have a specific focus, or will you bring all 7 assets to the show?
We will actually have 4 businesses there. So hybrid software, Zytron, global graphics software, and Meteor will be there. And between those 4, they also represent the businesses that aren't there, the ColorLogic and IC3D and Quadraxis. And our focus will be really digital front ends for high-speed inkjet print manufacturing, which I believe is very much in line with the theme of Hunkeler Innovation Days as well.
Have you been exhibiting at Innovation Days before?
Global graphics software has. So they've been there many times before. This is the first time that we've been there as a group with a broader group presence and with products instead of technology to offer. So I think it's a very important event, and I'm really looking forward to being there.
And what about yourself? Is that your first time, or have you been there as many times as well?
It is my first time.
Oh,
So
it will be a blast, I promise you, because this is the best.
I'm excited, really looking forward to it.
So when the people come to your booth and talk to you guys, is it showing technology? Is it showing samples? What can people expect, and what type of people would you really like to talk to?
Good question. And what type of people will they talk to there? So I should tell you, in addition to myself, the chairman of our company, Guido Vanderschoen, will be there, as well as our heads of the businesses or of business development for global graphic software, Meteor and Zytron as well. So we'll have a high level but technical contingent of people in our booth, and we hope to see the same. We're looking forward to seeing both the other exhibitors, which in some cases might be customers already or prospective customers, as well as the attendees who use their products. So, and they'll be able to see demos and as well as samples of our products running at the booth.
Last question, I think. I was just wondering, when you go and have this relatively broad perspective, and you say you may see even customers that are using your technology right now, are you often in positions where you're delivering technology where you can't even brag about working with somebody?
Absolutely. In fact, you probably notice I'm not naming names when I talk about our
Oh yeah,
customer.
I noticed, Mike. Don't worry.
In many cases, they're confidential and they want it that way. They want to position this to the market as their own magic, their own products, and that's perfectly fine. Branding, we're always very flexible because we succeed when our customers succeed, and they succeed when they sell a lot of equipment or when they produce a lot of products. So to us, that's much, much more important than having our logo on there. It's kind of like, we all see PCs with Intel Inside stickers. Our goal is to have every digital press with hybrid inside. So if we get that, then we're successful.
I hope you're also successful, even if you don't reach that objective 100%, I must say.
Well, thank you.
Fantastic. Mike, I look forward to meet you and your colleagues in Lucern. I can tell you that if you've first been at a Hunkeler Innovation Day show, you would not miss any in the future, I tell you. So now you are warned about it, right?
Well, thanks so much, Morten. I look forward to seeing you there and again to experiencing the show myself. Thanks for this opportunity.